Everyone, Lance here again, and today I have Sarah Banta with me, owner of Accelerated Health Products, who will be talking through some more questions on a ketogenic diet and ketogenic lifestyle, and some of the big questions that I've had, that clients she's worked with have had as well. So we're going to be talking through those today. Check in the description area below. So we're going to have some additional notes. The questions, you can look down there for those as well. And this has been an ongoing discussion. This is, I believe, our third part in this series of questions we've done. So if you enjoy this and want to see the other questions we've tackled, again, check in the description. You can also visit Sarah's channel. And also you can visit her website, which is acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Quick reminder, though, before we get started, is that everything we're talking about today, it's really for educational purposes only. So nothing we discuss is meant to cure, treat, or diagnose any illness or disease. And again, Sarah, thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom and helping with these. I think they're fairly common questions, or questions as you get into the ketogenic diet or you start looking into it. You may encounter some of these. So I know today we're going to talk about things like breathalyzer and fiber and short chain fatty acids. Are you getting enough of that on a ketogenic diet? So thank you so much again for being here today to help us out with this.
Thanks, Lance.
Yeah, the first question we have is there a best time of the day to measure ketones when you're using a breath test?
Well, it's interesting. In the morning, your ketone levels are the lowest and you're the most insulin resistant. So side note, because you're the most insulin resistant, think about everybody who wakes up and has that croissant. Here they are, their body's the most insulin resistant and they're just shoving down some sugar and carbs. So you will expect your ketone levels to be the lowest in the morning. Also, after exercise, your levels will show up lower because you just used all the ketones up. That doesn't mean you are not in ketosis. I used to talk to a professional Ironman woman, Amanda Stevens, and we would compare notes on her ketone levels and mine. And I was using exogenous ketones, and she was doing through a ketogenic diet, and my ketone levels were higher than hers. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm better than an Ironman. Well, she was using all of her ketones up while she was working out so hard. And I was also measuring in my blood. So the other thing is when you are using the blood monitor and you take exogenous ketones, you're going to get a high number because the exogenous ketones are just in your blood. That does not mean they're being used. So when you are exercising and you're burning off your ketones, that just means that your number might be lower, but you're using them efficiently. So a lot of factors go into all of this. And we also talked about the urine strips only being working for the first 2 weeks because your body is urinating the ketones out, even though you are you're not using them. So your body is showing that you're in ketosis, but you're actually not efficiently using them. So after 2 weeks, you're not going to pee anything out because you're actually using them, which is a good sign. So my favorite way to measure is through the breathalyzer, because that means what you're using is being measured efficiently right there and then. And I recommend waiting 1 to 2 hours after eating to see if that specific meal kept you in ketosis. And I recommend choosing a time of day and measuring the same time to compare apples to apples, because like I said, different times of day, you're going to be lower than others.
Okay, that is cool. So really starting out in the morning, like you're saying, best way to go, but there still could be some benefit to testing throughout the day. Just realize what you're doing. You may be testing your efficiency, not the same. It's not going to be the same result as if you do it first thing in the morning.
Well, first thing in the morning, it's going to be the lowest. So that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best time of day to do it. I prefer doing it midday around noon or 1, just because I usually work out in the morning. So it's given my body time to reset and stabilize after a workout. Because like I said, when you work out, you're going to burn off those ketones and not necessarily they won't show up as much in your system.
Okay.
So I'd say after an hour after exercise or an hour after meal, when your body's kind of just reset and stable.
Okay, I gotcha. Super. And then could you explain the results of a breathalyzer? So, and I remember this, I got the first breathalyzer, and I was looking at these numbers and, okay, I think higher numbers are better. Is that right? I was a little confused about it, so I'm sure others have been as well. Could you explain a little bit what those results mean? Also, if there's one you recommend that maybe is a little better than others to use for this.
Yes, the higher numbers, the better. And that means you're efficiently producing ketones and actually using them.
Okay.
This is in contrast to the urine strips, like I just said, which show the ketones in the beginning when your body's peeing out the ketones and not using them efficiently. But the blood ketone monitors are showing how many ketones are actually in the blood, but it's not necessarily showing that you're using them. So if you took the exogenous ketones, it could give you a high number, even though you're not learning to turn fat into ketones without the exogenous ketones, if that makes sense. And so the breathalyzer is my favorite as far as knowing how to, if you're making the ketones and using them properly. The one I have is by Ketonics. I know there's a Keto Mojo. I haven't used it, so I can't say if it's better or worse. But the Ketonics is the one I have, and it works great for me.
Okay, super. Within the Ketonics one, is there a range that you're aware of, or is it, again, kind of by feel, or any advice on that for someone trying to navigate as they're using that?
I always look for the color red. Red means you're in ketosis. So I pretty much stay in red.
Okay.
So I go by the color.
That's perfect. Okay. That keeps it simple too. So that's nice. Yeah. Now I, kind of switching gears a little bit to talking about low fiber, my understanding is that the keto diet often is more of a low fiber diet. Is this potentially a step backwards towards good gut health? I know I've heard that shared sometimes, and I think you've heard this question as well. But yeah, what would you say to that?
It's a great question. And if anyone knows me, they know that my gut is my number one issue and focus, and to make sure everything's good in that arena. But the answer is no. Actually, they've done studies where a group was on a low carb diet with fiber and one was without, and they had the exact same amount of bowel movements. And in fact, some reported feeling less bloat and less gut stress without the fiber. And that's the theory behind the carnivore diet, a true elimination diet. I mean, you are eating meat. You're eating only one thing, and you've eliminated all vegetables. So some who have had serious gut issues have actually tried this and finally found success with carnivore, where their severe gut issues have been cured with the carnivore diet and nothing else. I don't think it's right for everyone, but it's been successful for some with severe gut issues, and it can be used temporarily as an elimination diet. I tried it for a few days. I miss my vegetables. But I have to say the bloat went away and any issues went away. My bowel movements were not changed at all. So I really liked it. It's not something I'm going to do long term, but it definitely is something I'm going to use as a tool to help with my gut and to give my gut a little break. People think that vegetables are super easy to digest, and they actually are one of the harder things to digest. So, it goes against what we've been taught.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice then. What about then the challenge of getting enough prebiotic fiber on a keto diet? And a related challenge then of maybe being able to produce enough SCFAs or short chain fatty acids?
I personally add in sauerkraut and use the Restore, which is on my website, which aids in your gut to produce the prebiotic and probiotics that are needed.
Mm.
I also do use the Lateroflora as a soil-based organism that helps clean up the bad bacteria in the gut. I now have a new supplement called Ecophage that also really helps people who have severe SIBO or gut issues. Those are all tools that I use. But as I said before, your body doesn't need as many vegetables as you think, and as much fiber as you think you need.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then kind of on the switching gears a little bit now to thyroid issues in keto. Does keto have an effect on hypothyroid? Any advice or wisdom on this topic?
Forgive me, Lance. I want to go back on the fiber question.
Yeah.
As I said before, your body will make what it needs. For instance, you don't need antioxidants or as many on a keto diet because your body makes 95% of them, and your body doesn't produce the free radicals in a ketogenic diet as it does on a standard American diet, so you don't need as many antioxidants. And in that same way, your body will make what it needs when it comes to fiber, or it will come up with ways to adjust with the new way of eating, if that makes sense.
So the idea is you give your body enough good raw materials to work with, and it's going to create what it needs to be healthy and to be at its best. Is that kind of the principle?
Yes.
To operate
yes.
by? Okay.
And another thing to think about is a lot of carbs are called anti-nutrients. They not only don't provide nutrients to your body, but they actually steal the nutrients out of your body. So a lot of people think, oh, well, you're missing all of these nutrients from carbs and from breads and those sort of things, and the fiber. Your body is actually that stuff can actually be taking things out of your body. The other thing is to remember the ketogenic diet is not low on veggies. So we're not talking about a carnivore diet. We're talking about a ketogenic diet, which actually has a ton of vegetables and green vegetables in it. And prebiotic fiber sources would be onions and garlic and asparagus and leeks and other vegetables. So you're getting those on a typical ketogenic diet.
Okay, that's an important distinction to make. Sometimes these diets can get blended a little bit. Someone's saying keto and they're thinking carnivore. And I think, like you've said, you could be keto on a carnivore, but carnivore would be less vegetables. Is that right? Versus keto, like what you're talking about, you're still getting you're still eating vegetables.
Right. I actually say eat as many green vegetables as you want. So that's a big difference between the carnivore and the keto. And the other thing to remember is I had said that you can be even a vegan and be on keto. Well, obviously that's going to be full of vegetables if you're a vegan keto.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So then on to our next topic here on the thyroid issues and keto. Does keto have an effect on hypothyroid or those dealing with hypothyroid type issues? What would you say to anyone in that situation with how keto can kind of play a role in that?
It's a great question. When people talk about carb ups, and I'm sorry, most people actually can cure their hypothyroid issues with the keto diet. Insulin resistance affects thyroid health. So as you heal your insulin resistance, your thyroid improves. Also, many people think that if they eat small meals all day long, they'll increase their metabolism, and it's actually the opposite. When you eat constantly, you're constantly releasing insulin a little bit at a time all day long, which signals your body to store fat all day long. The insulin's job is to store fat. So you're getting this little dose saying, feed me, feed me, feed me, and store fat, store fat, store fat. So your body has no time to turn on the healing genes as it's focused on digestion and storing fat as the job of insulin. So you're either in a healing state or a digestive state. So when you are in ketosis and intermittent fasting, which means that you're not eating, let's say, breakfast, and you are eating a lunch meal and a dinner meal, and then not eating after dinner and waiting until lunch the next day, your insulin is low for long periods of time, and your body's detoxing and healing during those hours. It's cleaning out all the bad cells. It may get into a stage of autophagy a bit, and where it's eating up the bad cells, the dirty cells, and really cleaning out that liver and the gallbladder while you're burning fat and using your own fat stores for energy. So your body is not in starvation mode because it knows how to access the hundreds of thousands of calories of fat stored in the body. So there's no reason to lower its metabolism. Then when you eat, your metabolism actually revs up. So when you are actually eating throughout the day, you're signaling your body it's time to eat, but then you're only eating a little bit, and then your body thinks it's actually in starvation mode. So do you see the difference there, where if you're fasting and your insulin's low and your body's tapping into all of your fat stores, it's got so much energy and calories to access, there's no reason for it to slow down its metabolism or go into a stage of hypothyroidism. But the other thing to remember with hypothyroidism or thyroid health in general is iodine is imperative. And iodine helps lower insulin resistance, and it's been shown to help diabetics. So this is a little separate from the ketogenic diet, but most people have thyroid issues from toxins clogging their thyroid receptors like fluoride, chlorine, and bromide. Interestingly enough, bromide is in the breads in the United States and some of the carb foods that we eat.
Wow.
So what happens is those molecules look like iodine, and then the iodine is essential for the thyroid health as the number 3 and 4 in T3 and T4 when it related to the thyroid represents the number of atoms of iodine. So 95% of the people in the United States are deficient in iodine, and it's the cause of their hypothyroidism and even hyperthyroidism. So on top of the keto diet stabilizing insulin resistance, it's important to supplement with iodine, and that's why I really push the Acceleradine on my website. It's the most effective and potent radiation-free iodine compared to all other iodines, and it's 100% bioavailable. It's a single atom, whereas most other iodine supplements are diatomic, which means they're 2 atoms combined. And those forms of iodine are sometimes harder for the body to break down and absorb. So with related to the thyroid, it's really important to be taking an iodine supplement, but also to incorporate that intermittent fasting and the ketosis can actually help your thyroid health. And I've had Hashimoto's and thyroid issues, and my thyroid's a lot more stable when I'm in ketosis.
That's interesting. Does ketosis and being on a ketogenic diet, over time, help to recover some of those? You mentioned about receptors being blocked, by some of the just things we're eating. Is that something that we start to recover some of that over time? And I guess people will see improvement where maybe they started out needing this much iodine. Now they're needing less and less.
Right. So with your thyroid, it will start healing. But you also need to declog the thyroid and get those toxins out. That could be a whole nother topic. And I recommend my thyroid detox bundle, which includes the silver the acceleridine, which I went into, and the Nuke No More. And the Nuke No More, with one bottle, one dose is good for a lifetime, and it detoxes you from all radiation, ionic and non-ionic, and the EMFs and everything. But with all that radiation in our bodies that we've accumulated over time, the ketogenic diet helps, but you really do need a supplement to help detox your thyroid and your body from that radiation and those atoms that are clogging your thyroid.
Okay. Wow. Super. Well, again, Sarah, thank you. That is super helpful. And it brings a lot of clarity, I think, to some of these popular questions when you start getting into a ketogenic diet, from, interpreting your breathalyzer, how does that work, thyroid type issues. And there can just be, again, just like with anything, you start to go online and you see two things seem to contradict each other. So again, really appreciate kind of giving us a well-rounded picture there. For those who have additional questions, feel free to post those in the comments below. You can also reach out to Sarah through her website at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. And you can check again below for a link to that site. Some of the products she mentioned, again, those are available through her website as well. But we appreciate you so much for coming and listening to this discussion. And again, Sarah, thank you for joining us and being here to just give us a lot of honest answers on these different topics. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lance. It's been fun. Thank you for joining us today. Leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this, and please be sure to check the description below for any additional information. Please don't hesitate to leave a comment or ask a question, as I'd love to answer as many of those as I possibly can. If there's a particular topic you'd like to hear more about, please share that in the comments below as well. Thanks again for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.